Today, we're diving into the fall of a golden city. It's a story about a dynasty so incredibly powerful, the only thing that could actually destroy it was itself. This is the story of Dwarka, a city that wasn't brought down by a foreign army, but by a prophecy, by pride, and by one single catastrophic mistake.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Our story really kicks off with the chilling echo of a terrible curse. Right after the huge, devastating Mahabharata war, a grieving Queen Gandhari, who had just lost all of her sons, unleashes this prophecy on Krishna. And you have to understand, this wasn't just an empty threat. It was a shadow that would hang over them for decades, just waiting for the right moment.
But first, let's paint a picture of this magnificent city, Dwarka. This was the home of Krishna and his heroic Yadava clan. I mean, just imagine a city that was literally buzzing with stories of valor, the sounds of celebration. It was a true beacon of prosperity. But with all that peace and wealth, well, a new kind of danger started to creep in. It was like a subtle poison began to spread. The genuine heroism of the older generation started to curdle into just plain arrogance in the younger guys. You know, born into privilege, they got completely lost in parties, wine, and this massive sense of entitlement. And all that arrogance, it led directly to the one incident that would light the fuse for the entire kingdom's destruction. And it didn't start with a battle or a big declaration of war. No, it all started with a thoughtless, terrible joke.
So this is basically the chain reaction right here. It all starts with a prank. Some young Yadavas dress up one of their friends like a pregnant woman and go mock some visiting sages. The sages, not surprisingly, are furious. They lay down a curse right then and there, that this fake womb will give birth to an iron mace that will destroy their entire clan. And what do you know? It comes true. A mace is produced. Krishna, knowing exactly how powerful this curse is, orders it to be ground into dust and thrown into the sea. But as we're about to see, you can't just throw a prophecy away.
So, years and years go by, the memory of that curse kind of fades into the background. But prophecies, they don't forget. And now we get to the absolute heart of the tragedy, a huge festival down by the sea. What was supposed to be a celebration turned into a battlefield. And this right here is the most crucial part. There was no invading army. The enemy came from within. They were all fueled by wine, and years of simmering egos finally boiled over. Old arguments came back up. I was the real hero in that war. No, it was me. And pretty soon, insults turned to blows, and the entire clan just got swept up in this wave of self-destructive madness. I mean, just look at this comparison. It's horrifying. These were men who had fought together, celebrated together. They were family. But in that moment, all those bonds were just gone. Brother turned on brother, father turned on son. Their only goal was to destroy each other. And now for the really wild part. This is how the curse physically came true. Remember that iron dust they threw into the sea? Well, it had settled all along the shoreline, and it got absorbed by the reeds growing there. So when the Yadavas, in their rage, grabbed these reeds to use as weapons, they found that they were as hard and deadly as iron maces. The prophecy had literally created its own weapons out of the very ground they stood on. So Krishna watched his entire clan destroy itself, and he knew he couldn't interfere. The prophecy had to run its course. With the Yadavas gone, the purpose of the gods on earth was pretty much over. And so their departure from the mortal world began, starting with his powerful brother, Balarama. Balarama, just completely overwhelmed by grief, sat in meditation by the ocean and simply let go of his life force. As Krishna watched, his brother's true form, this enormous, great white serpent, Sheshanaga, emerged from his mouth and returned to the cosmic waters. And now, Krishna was utterly alone. He knew his time on earth was over, so he walked calmly into the forest to meet his own destiny. This timeline really captures the profound peace of his end. It wasn't some grand battle. He just laid down to rest. And a hunter named Jara, who was out in the woods, mistook Krishna's foot for a deer and shot an arrow. The hunter, of course, was horrified and begged for forgiveness. But Krishna just smiled. He explained that this was no accident at all, but the balancing of a karmic debt from a long, long time ago. He forgave the hunter, gave him peace, and then he peacefully departed from his mortal form. With Krishna's departure, the final act of this whole epic story unfolds. The anchor of the world was gone.
The age of righteousness, the Dwapara Yuga, had officially and finally come to an end.
And this was the final consequence. The great golden city of Dwarka, the city that Krishna himself built and protected, was reclaimed by the ocean. Without its divine guardian, the magnificent city, the symbol of an entire age, just slowly sank beneath the waves, becoming a legend whispered on the tides. So this story of Dwarka really leaves us with this powerful question. A kingdom of basically invincible heroes wasn't brought down by an invading army or some natural disaster. No, it rotted from the inside out. It was destroyed by its own arrogance, its own infighting. It's a timeless reminder that the greatest threats we face often don't come from some external force, but from the flaws we allow to grow within ourselves.